Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. We've got over 900 audios available in the archive for your listening pleasure. Variety of topics. Sometimes we're here multiple times per week. At least we try to be. And if there's a topic you'd like to see covered, please comment, subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. And if you're looking for coaching, please feel free to reach out. There's a couple ways you can do that. Through Twitter at PO Perception or in the About Me section of this YouTube page. Either way, we'll get you where you want to be, and we can get you to a good place, a meaningful place, and a helpful place, at least we hope. In any event, kind of looking at that from a new perspective, if you're dealing with trauma, there are some signs that you may have unresolved trauma, and trauma is a fixation on a previous event or a series of events that leads you to believe that you are not in control of your emotional state. Trauma is a horrible thing, and as someone who's worked in trauma recovery for more than a decade and a half, I can honestly say the resiliency of the human spirit is amazing and vital and valuable, but each person recovers from trauma differently. Each person goes through different experiences, and the meaning they put behind them will change how they heal. So if you're constantly in a state of negative emotion and or worst case scenario, waiting for the worst thing to happen, you may be living through trauma, because what happens is your brain goes to that feeling of loss and immense overwhelm, and that will affect your mood. So your emotional state and your mood are interlinked. Your mood is your overall demeanor. Your emotional state is how you're feeling because of the demeanor. These two things will link with each other and eventually can often, not always, but can often lead you in a direction that doesn't lead you forward. It actually leads you circular. So this may mean that you are always feeling worn out. You're always feeling, frustrated. You're always feeling sad or expecting the worst to happen. You may have difficulty interacting with other people because they just don't understand how hard your life is. You may find that doing tasks that other people find easy to be difficult. You may experience panic or anxiety or fear of failure to a high degree. You may go through all of these and more. So obviously working with somebody who is qualified or a team of people who are qualified to help you kind of get through that is useful. So the next thing is you may avoid certain places, phrases, sounds, smells, or other trigger points that will lead you to a flashback. Of course, a flashback is a visceral reliving in a sensory way of the original experience or the emotions and times right around the experience, usually within a matter of minutes to several hours. If you're doing that on a continual basis, chances are you're having flashbacks, which means you've gone through trauma. Now, as someone who understands trauma because A, I lived through it, and B, I've studied it for a decade and a half plus, one thing I can say is just because you get through a trauma doesn't mean you get around it permanently, and just because you get around it doesn't necessarily mean that you will never have an experience with again. I can honestly say there are certain sounds that for me immediately trigger worry, even though I've been removed from my traumatic environment for over a decade. So the point is, these things will shape within your mind on a continual basis, even if it's not. Take a sip of water there so I don't start coughing, but even if it's not a thing that you need to really look at fully, it's kind of like if you're always dealing with something that makes you feel out of balance, you're always dealing with an emotional state or avoiding certain situations without even realizing why, or you may realize why, and it's hard to talk about with other people. The next thing is you feel consistently or continually disconnected from the world around you. In other words, other people are having experiences, and you understand that people have these experiences, but you wouldn't know or you don't know how it would feel if you were in the same shoes that they are in. This is because you're disconnected from a reality that makes sense to others. You're living to a degree, at least around the issues of your traumas in your own world, and therefore that means you respond differently to different stimulus, different situations, people, and sensory inputs, and then that becomes overwhelming for a number of reasons. The next and the final thing here is you are closed off. So the idea of getting to know somebody and explaining your story for what seems like the 100th or 1,000th or millionth time is so overwhelming that you'd rather just not be social. This can translate into online and offline experiences, thus meaning that you don't have the support system you need if your trauma comes back. Once again, I encourage you to get whatever help you need, build with a team, spiritual, mental health, emotional health, coaching, and all sorts of folks in the middle. This can be beneficial to you in the long run, so hopefully that's helpful. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.